My paper is on something that I would say 99% of the people I meet have: social media. Um, I am delving in how social media affects people's mental health, especially teenagers. Um, I would say personally that this is my claim that it affects it both positively and negatively, if not equally, with the two. Um, it's widely debated in the psychology community, and neither side has enough foolproof evidence to claim that it does for sure affect mental health negatively or positively. So, it's widely known that a majority of the world have struggled with mental health issues at one point in their lives, and this has been recorded through history. But social media is still fairly new to the world, so a lot of experiments and studies done regarding social media are still widely debated because of how new it is and how much more research we need to perform to make sure that this is foolproof evidence of if social media causes something within someone's brain. The first social media website was actually a website called 6 Degrees, which was something similar to Facebook. 6 Degrees had a platform where you could create a profile that pretty much told people about yourself, and you could have friends just like Facebook, which I suppose this is like the starting point for Mark Zuckerberg's like inspiration for Facebook. In 1998, a psychologist by the name of Kraut Robert published one of the first studies to indicate that the internet and social media does in fact affect people's mental health. And what he found through it was that it declines the size of their social circle and increases their depression and loneliness. Assuming that this is because that they're focusing so much on their online personality that they're not taking the time to have those face-to-face interactions, and thus it creates a negative impact on their life. Continuing, a psychologist by the name of Igor Pantic did a study regarding the high school student population using social media, and they found a lot of statistics that correlate social media and depression, which is to be expected. He also claims that they tried to study students and make them watch TV, but it did not have the same effects with mental illness. So, that being said, it's safe to assume that social media does affect the human mind somewhat, whether it be positively or negatively. A lot of studies have shown that it does affect the human mind negatively, especially in teenagers. As of 2020, there's an estimated 3.8 billion people who use social media. That is a very large number considering the amount of people that are in the world, so I would say that's like half of the world. So continuing on to Igor Pantic's claims, he says that lower self-esteem issues results in people spending more time on social media and tagging their location to really try and gain that acceptance from others, showing that, oh, I went here, I went here. So obviously that can put a damper on someone's mental health, having to feel so lonely that you have to tag your location. And people who are familiar with social networking sites know that it does hurt people's feelings sometimes when you see someone going somewhere and you're like, oh, maybe I should do that too. Pantic also claims that social networking sites can be used to detect early signs of depression, which I would say is a very positive thing to come out of social media. As much as nobody wants depression and social media can cause depression, it is worth noting that this claim is a positive in it. This is a visual chart showing the negative and positive effects on each app. As you can see in the previous graph, depending on the social media website you're on, there is about an equal amount of positive and negative to the website. A majority of the websites in that graph were shown to have very positive self-expression and self-identity. The positives of social media come in three distinct points. One, it provides social interaction. Although it is not in person, which would be preferred for someone with depression and anxiety, since it gauges them to get out and actually get that face-to-face interaction. Still, you're getting positive interaction through the phone. Two, it provides access to networks and support. There are several Instagram accounts and communities. There's Facebook communities, there's Twitter communities, where you can reach out and you can meet friends who have the same issues as you, and everybody helps build on experiences, and it really does help someone's mental health if they're really struggling. It makes them feel less alone. And third, social media promotes engagement, and they can find pages on social media that push them to go find the in-person help that they need, such as therapy. I believe this one is really important because I myself have ran across some of these pages where they're ads to kind of push people in the right direction to go contact a certain therapist whose number may be in the ad, and it really does help people get that drive to say, oh, maybe I will contact this person because I have been feeling down. So, coming back to my first point, that it provides social interaction, I said that it is not the preferred social interaction that many people would want. It's not face-to-face. But I would say that, especially during this 2020 pandemic of the coronavirus, that social media has become extremely useful in this fact that it does provide social interaction. A lot of people are still quarantined, or a lot of people are afraid to go out in fear of getting the coronavirus. That being said, you can still talk to your friends online. You can still take pictures and send them to your friends online. You have the preferred contact online rather than going in person and risk getting the coronavirus. And some people don't want to wear a mask, and it's just preferred to be online. And social media is at its highest usage. Another point is that there are people who have agoraphobia. Agoraphobia is something that restricts people from going out because it is a phobia of going out, leaving your house. Going on social media with this condition could gauge you in finding that social interaction, and also finding networks where you can contact people who can help you leave the house and who can help you go through therapy to nip this problem. Social media has become very evolved since the late 90s, coming from 6 Degrees, for example, and Facebook in the early 2000s. Nowadays, you can make friends, you can find connections from across the world, and you can find even job openings. It is also known that social media sites do have access to a range of mental health support and peer networking. Finding friends on social media is not a harmful thing to do, and there's not really any harm that can come out of making friends, I would say. On to the last major point with the positives of social media. Social media provides networking to therapy, peer support, and mental health services, which is an extremely good thing that they've incorporated this into social media, because a lot of mentally ill people do use social media. It's inevitable. A lot of the population nowadays struggles with depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts. So, for example, on Instagram, if somebody reports you, they can use the option that they're scared you're going to self-harm. When Instagram gets this notification, they send you a message for when you open the app again that says that they're reaching out because someone is worried about you, and they provide hotlines and they provide contact information. This is extremely important because a lot of human minds are very fragile, and just knowing that somebody cares about you this much to reach out is extremely important. So, there are a lot of positives to social media, but there are also negatives too. Um, there's the risk of manipulation and bullying on social media, such as Twitter, YouTube, Reddit, Tumblr, and other forums across 127 countries that have access to those apps and sites. It's extremely critical to monitor social media usage in teenagers and even young adults who struggle with mental health issues, because mentally ill people are more prone to having negative experiences when using social media, like being bullied and having harassment. In conclusion, social media has about an equal amount of positives and negatives, and that's just how everything in the world is, obviously. You're not just going to find something that's like perfectly positive or perfectly negative. There's a fair share of harassment online, but that can be overlooked when you find a beautiful page sharing art, or a harassment page and then you find a food recipe page. It's endless. The way social media nowadays has made it to where you can reach out to mental health providers and find that support group, that's extremely important coming from someone who is mentally ill. I have found that social media has brought me together with people like me, and it is very convenient. It's very important to understand that social media is not just a negative thing. It is an extremely positive one most of the time. You're still gonna get depressive symptoms when you use social media, depending on how much you use it. But if you can limit your social media usage, the positives would outweigh the bad.